President Donald Trump on Monday drastically scaled back two national monuments established in Utah by his Democratic predecessors, the largest reduction of public lands protection in U.S. history. Trump's move to shrink the Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante national monuments by more than 1.1 million acres and more than 800,000 acres, respectively, immediately sparked an outpouring of praise from conservative lawmakers as well as activists' protests outside the White House and in Utah. It also plunges the Trump administration into uncharted legal territory since no president has sought to modify monuments established under the 1906 Antiquities Act in more than half a century. His decision removes about 85% of the designation of Bears Ears and nearly 46% of that for Grand Staircase Escalante, land that potentially could now be leased for energy exploration or opened for specific activities such as motorized vehicle use. Trump told a rally in Salt Lake City that he came to reverse federal overreach and took dramatic action because some people think that the natural resources of Utah should be controlled by a small handful of very distant bureaucrats located in Washington. And guess what? They're wrong. They don't know your land, and truly, they don't care for your land like you do, he added. But from now on, that won't matter. Conservatives have long sought to curb a president's unilateral power to safeguard federal lands and waters under the law, a practice that both Democrats and Republicans have pursued since it was enacted under Theodore Roosevelt. The issue has been a particular flashpoint in the West, where some local residents feel the federal government already imposes too many restrictions on development and others, including tribal officials, feel greater protections of ancient sites are needed. Even before Trump made the announcement as part of a day trip to the state, National Cattlemen's Beef Association Craig Uden was hailing the resized designations. While grazing has continued on both monuments, as well as on others, Uden said ranchers could not have greater input into how they are managed. We are grateful that today's action will allow ranchers to resume their role as responsible stewards of the land and drivers of rural economies, he said. Republicans at the president's rally applauded him and his deputies for heeding their concerns. President Trump listened to us, Utah House Speaker Greg Hughes said. We are not a flyover state. This May 8, 2017, file photo shows Arch Canyon within Bears Ears National Monument in Utah. This May 8, 2017, file photo shows Arch Canyon within Bears Ears National Monument in Utah. But a series of protests that opponents began over the weekend, attracting thousands, continued Monday at the Utah Capitol. About 300 demonstrators gathered before Trump arrived and, against the backdrop of the dome and snowy grounds, chanted "Lock him up." Conservation advocates and tribal representatives have for months been preparing legal briefs that aim to block the monument changes in federal court. Doug Wheeler, a partner at the firm Hogan Lovells who represents the Conservation Lands Foundation, Utah Dine Baikia and other groups, said the watershed moment on this issue came with the 1976 Federal Land Policy and Management Act.